Hello, and welcome to the show. This is Jacquelene Close-Moore. You're on Soul Star Radio. I am joined today by the wonderful, exuberant, and very psychic, healing and authoring Raul Estevez. He's an author of numerous beautiful books on spirituality, and he's also an educator and loves to share knowledge with people and help them learn. So welcome to the show, Raul.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline, for having me once again on the show. I'm really delighted to be here with all of our listeners once again.
It's beautiful to have you back again. I'm calling and speaking to you all live from Melbourne International Airport. So you're going to hear some wonderful, interesting noises in the background. I've got no idea. I sort of had trouble hearing what's going on, but a lovely lady has tried to help me. But it's just been a rather interesting day. But it's a Gemini thing to be able to multitask, and sometimes a bit too much. So sometimes we have to kind of go, you know what, I'm just going to ride this through, and how it is how it is. We always do our best to plan, but sometimes life just brings stuff up that it's just like, oh, God. And actually thinking about, I had a caller a couple of weeks ago, Michelle from Rhode Island. So if you're listening, hi, Michelle. Thank you so much for your kind comments and feedback after the show. But Michelle was speaking towards the end of the show about how there'd been a number of deaths in her family, and it had been really very challenging for her. And she wanted to know, how do you actually deal with that much grief, that much loss, that much suffering? And so she was going through so much of that. It's really interesting. You're dealing with the brevity of this, you're dealing with the noise in the background, but she was dealing with that and how to get over the grief. And we literally was down to the last 30 seconds of the show. And I really wanted to deal with that appropriately and go into the depths of how people deal with grief and how we deal with when stuff happens in our life and we just can't control it, a bit like this morning. How do we deal with that? What sort of insights would you give to our listeners and viewers about that?
From a personal point of view, Jacqueline, the idea of dealing with grief is truly on a personal level and on a deep spiritual level. And for me, what actually works is to truly feel the emotion, not to repress it. People tell you, well, soon enough it's going to get easier. Well, grief is a lifelong emotion that you're going to have. It will get easier, but one thing that I actually do to actually deal with that grief is I connect with the energy of the beautiful white rose. The white rose brings that energy of purification. And as you connect with the energy of the white rose, whether you have a white rose, actually a beautiful flower next to you, or it could be a beautiful photo of a white rose, you can actually connect with that beautiful energy of purification to start releasing that emotion and start helping you realize that you're not going to be able to change what has happened. Those people have actually moved from the earth plane to the more 5D spiritual plane, and they're still around and they're still with you. They are not in physical form anymore, and it's a matter of us understanding that this is only part of our journey. My recommendation for you is to truly invoke the energy of the white rose. If you can buy a white rose, or you may have a white rose in your garden, simply go out there and look at it and ask the white rose and the angels to truly help you deal and release the heaviness that grief actually brings into our lives. But it's truly part of our lives. It's part of you being Jacqueline at the airport and dealing with what life is actually giving us to deal with. And it's acknowledging that that's part of it without trying to deny it and without trying to push it away. If you push it away, it will come back even heavier. So simply, if you need to cry, cry. And if you need to do whatever you need to do, please do.
Yeah, I think the thing is that in this society, a lot of people are really repressing those feelings, repressing those emotions. And what you're talking about, and it's very true, you can't repress it because there's no stopwatch on grief. Grief has its own timing, and you can't get in the way of that. You have to trust the process. And the more it's like putting a stopper stopper in a bottle, but it's also about, if you think of a carbonated drink and shaking it, and then just suddenly open up the the lid. First of all, it's going to be hard to open the lid. When you do, it's like it's everywhere. So, that repression, I think it just causes further problems. And I can actually think of a situation where there was a lady who had to attend the funeral of her husband, and the consulting practitioner really doped her up with a lot of drugs that just made her feel absolutely nothing. And she was fine on the day. She wasn't crying. And when I say fine, it's like, what? And it took her absolutely months after that to accept that they had died, to connect with the actual emotion, because she wasn't allowed to experience that during the funeral. And while you might think that ordinarily that, a practitioner would be careful not to prescribe that sort of thing when, or to do it under due consideration, under this particular case, it was very questionable by other practitioners and by the person themselves. And so it really is, you've got to, let some things, you have to just run with this. You have to feel. We are human. And so it is a big thing. I think if someone's dwelling in it, though, or they're having flashbacks to a certain event, or they are having trouble accepting reality, that's where I think, it's really quite urgent to go and seek counselling and seek the right, kind of people, friends to speak to, and to actually say, I'm not okay.
Angels.
Seek out earth angels. You've got it. I think that's absolutely completely appropriate, and it can't be emphasised enough. And I know that another thing as well is when you're at a funeral, if the church is half full with living people, you better believe the rest of the ancestors are filling the rest of the church up. And I know that from my own experience, I've watched people who passed over in my family attend their funerals and have sometimes a bit to say, and other times they're just observing. But certainly I've seen the whole ancestor line and lineage show up to funerals in my family. Have you experienced that sort of thing, Raul?
Yes, I have, and it's the idea of actually understanding that they are there to usher that soul into the new realm. And some of us can actually feel the presence, and some of us can actually see them. And it's not a matter of being afraid, it's a matter of embracing the situation as it is and reminding yourself that you are a soul living a human experience. So when you see those spiritual souls coming in to usher that soul across the veil, is that idea of not being afraid, or simply just understanding that we know one another.
Yep, absolutely. I really think that's quite beautiful. Now, I can actually see we've got a caller there, Raul. We've got Jacquelene in Cedar City, Utah.
Correct.
Hi.
Hi, Joy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
We are excellent, and Jacquelene is ready to jet off in a minute. So please tell us, how can we help you?
Oh, I don't know.
Are you
Wow, I'm just seeing an entire energy there of butterflies literally up and flying, and I don't think it's just because I'm about to go on a flight. Sorry about that sort of really weird imagery. But I actually feel like you're going through a major transition and change at the moment, like a rebirth is how I would put this. And I think, and it's interesting because Raul has a beautiful deck with butterflies all over it. And I'm just seeing these very pastel light butterflies, lots and lots of them streaming upwards and up and to the right. So this is up into the future. And so this is a new future that's happening for you. And it's like you're going through that transformation at the moment. So where there's been heaviness, there will be light. Where there's been roadblocks and feeling of, I just can't get going. What I'm really getting from that is that real sense of the upliftment, the enlightenment, things starting to move for you. So I really do feel that you're on the right track there, but it is just a case of having to deal with the nitty-gritty at the moment, having to deal with some challenges there, having to deal with some particularly males that don't seem to be quite listening here. But you'd have to just weigh and measure up and choose your battles is how I would put this there for you, Jacquelene. So Raul, were you getting something with the butterflies there as well?
Well, have a look. The card that I'm actually showing here is the abundance card, and it's full of butterflies. And that's the card that I drew first when I was actually talking to Joy. And Joy, the abundance card is coming to you with the message of the yellow lily. And that yellow lily, the Joy, is all about not only financial abundance, but abundance in everything in your life, meaning the butterflies are ushering a new energy that is going to take you to where you need to be with lots and lots of joy, like your name actually says. So it's quite beautiful. The past is not behind you and you're moving forward with this beautiful energy. One thing is continue joy in your divine life pathway.
Oh, wow. That resonates with me so well. It's hard for me to understand you.
Sorry, I couldn't quite get that. Well, this is all we have for you at this point in time, Jacquelene. So the abundance is ushered by all the butterflies that are actually moving you forward.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you for your call.
That's perfect.
Okay, Jacquelene, I think it's getting ready to fly.
I think I have to fly.
Okay, not a problem. You go and fly.
Thank you. I'll leave the rest of the show there with you, Raul,
Thank you so
and
much.
I'll catch up with you very soon. Thank you so much for taking over for me. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening, and we'll catch up with you next week. In the meantime, I've got to fly like a bird or butterfly. Okay,
Oh,
love
butterfly.
you.
That's it. Enjoy the flight and see you soon.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much, Jacquelene. Have a beautiful flight. And we wait to see you next week with us here on Soul Star Radio. I'm not certain whether we still have another caller coming through. Oh, Jacquelene. Okay, Jacquelene, we were talking about the butterflies, yes? And that idea
Okay.
of moving into this new journey with a lot of butterflies, as Jacquelene was saying, and the energy of the yellow lily. If you can actually get some fresh yellow lilies, Jacquelene, is
Okay.
a little exercise that I will give you and I will give everybody with abundance. Sometimes when you buy a bunch of yellow lilies, you will see an unopened bud, or perhaps many. In there, what you can actually do that the angels tell me always to do is whisper your wish for abundance. Don't make it all about money. Perhaps make it abundance in family, abundance in health, abundance in friends, abundance in everything that you would like to have in your life. And as the bud starts to open and to blossom, that wish will be released into the universe, will be taken to the Creator on the wings of angels, and you will see people, places, and situations appearing in your pathway to help you achieve that wish that you actually put into the bud of that yellow lily.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Thank you so much for your call, and I hope that it helps you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, it resonated with me very well.
Oh, that's so very kind of you. Wishing you all the very best.
All righty. Thank you so much. What was your name again?
Raul.
Raul. All right. Thank you, Raul.
Raul. Thank you so much. And our next caller is actually Tonya. Tonya, are you there?
Hello.
Hi, Tonya. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
I'm really, really well. Remind me, where are you calling from?
I actually am from New Orleans.
Oh, what a beautiful place, New Orleans. I got a friend in New Orleans that is actually shooting a film, and it's all about angels. So it's a beautiful city to actually not only live, but to connect with the truly angelic and spiritual realm. How can I help you today, Tonya?
It truly is. Very unique city we have here. Actually, I would like to see what maybe you come up with. This year has been a huge change. The last 3 years have been evolving towards change, and then earlier this year I was in an accident. From that accident, everything just, in my eyes, of course, went downhill. I was bedridden for a while. I'm normally not nonstop, on the go, in the gym, working, like, very active. So it hit me financially. It hit me physically. Of course, all of that turned into emotionally. I also went through a breakup in a relationship. So kind of looking and waiting for all that to turn around.
Okay, and what they're actually showing me at the moment, and the card that I just drew for you, which is from my own very deck of cards, Guiding Star of Life, is the Purpose card. And I'll talk a little bit about the card in just a minute. But one thing that is actually happening for you, Tonya, is that life is at a stage that it needed to kind of like crash and burn like the phoenix, yes, because you need to rise up from the ashes once again, but as a new person, as a new Tonya. So the people that they left your life, like in your relationship, remember, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And perhaps this person came into your life for not only a reason and a season, and the season was over. But if this accident didn't happen for you, that it was the catalyst, nothing would have changed. You would have continued in the same cycle, and you were not going to move into your divine life purpose. And sometimes angels will send us a little feather as a message, and we'll see the little feather and we say, oh, how beautiful. Sometimes they send you a brick and it hits you on the head and you realize, okay, I'm getting the message. And sometimes they send you the semi-trailer, and at this time they send you the semi-trailer because you missed the little feather, you missed the brick, and they're saying, pay attention. We need you to rebuild, to refocus. The Purpose card came out for you, and it's because you got a divine life purpose. And see, the flower here is an Australian wildflower called Warata. It's very beautiful, vibrant red, very unique. You look at it and it's very delicate, but when you touch it, it's rather strong. It grows on a tree, so it's not a plant. So it's saying to you, if this accident happened, well, look at the silver lining and see what is actually taking you, because it's actually asking you to refocus on what truly is important. And what is important is your divine life purpose, what you're meant to learn from this, and what you're meant to be able to help other people learn out of perhaps an adverse situation, that it will take you into a new place in your life that you never imagined. It will open doors, and that's what this big butterfly at the top here, blue and red. The blue of protection, the red is of passion and new energy. So there's new energy coming your way. Feel whatever you feel that's happening at the moment, and if you're going through grief of the relationship, feel that. But by the same token, don't remain in that emotion. Feel it, release it, and keep on moving forward, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, because your divine life purpose is to be able to help a whole lot of people that you have not yet met, Tonya, and they're waiting for you at the other end. The issue is that what you're going through at the moment is not that simple, not easy. But you know what? The not easy and simple things in life is what actually create the most joy in what we're going to achieve later on. And people will look at you with eyes saying, oh my goodness, look at all the things that you've been through, and you are here with us, and you are vibrant, and you are smiling, and it's because you understand that everything in life is taking us to where we need to be, and you're going to get there. Pardon me?
I agree with every single bit of that. That's everything that I have thought, actually. As you said, you go through the emotions and then you have to release them. And I've done that, but I also completely believe that I believe everything, exactly what you said, that things happen for reasons. And if I wasn't stopping and paying attention to something, then life would knock me down and make me, Yes. And there's been a lot, when I said relationship, I'm talking about friends, like everything else. It's changed a lot. It woke me up in a lot of areas. But one of the things that I was hoping to ask, and it was like, what am I meant to be doing? Because I know that I have a great amount of intuitiveness myself. I know that I am very empathic, to a point that I wish I could control it, and I wish I understood it. It is so easy for me to just listen to other people talk to me and I will just cry. Or for me to feel what someone else is going through and I end up in tears, but I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to control any of it. I just don't know. I don't understand it.
Okay. One thing that is actually coming.
And then are you a medium as well?
I do a little bit of mediumship, but more what I actually concentrate on is with the angelic realm and the idea that they're actually showing me the energy that is taking place in somebody's life, and they show me the pathway that the person needs to follow. What I'm actually getting from you is you need to accept the gift that is being given and perhaps feel a little bit of trepidation, but not fear. The idea of realizing that what's actually happening to you is happening for a reason for you to learn. So take it as a learning curve. It's like when you walk into a classroom for the first time and you think, oh, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know who the teacher is and what the other students are. This is what's happening to you. You are getting into a new classroom and it's becoming a little bit trepidation, a little bit of anxiety because you don't know yet how to handle it. The best idea to handle it that they're actually saying to me, 2 people or 2 archangels that you need to communicate with. And it's Archangel Michael, the protector, and Archangel Metatron. Archangel Metatron is a custodian of the tree of life and of the flower of life. And that flower of life is what actually gives you the sacred geometry. It actually puts you in the little square that you belong. And Archangel Metatron is saying, simply sit there quietly and think of that beautiful flower of life. And he's going to start sending you feeling, thoughts, information on how to deal with your empathic feelings. Feel the emotion from other people, but also you need to understand that they're not your emotions. They belong with them. You can feel them, but don't take them on. And the idea of not taking them on is just putting yourself in a beautiful blue, white, purple bubble and realizing that you are helping people by listening to them and perhaps guide them in the right direction, but not taking the emotion on because it's not yours, it's theirs. I hope that helped you. Thank you so much for your call today.
Thank you.
And thank you once again.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. We're actually coming to the very end of the show. I would like to thank Dave, the producer of the show, also Jacquelene Closmore, that is somewhere flying from the international airport in Melbourne, for giving me this chance to finish off the show for her. And as I always say, please remember, believe in angels because they do believe in you. Jacquelene Closmore and Soul Star Radio will be back with you on this same channel next time on Friday next week. Thank you so much and many angel blessings. Thank you and bye for now. And remember that today I was using Guidance Star of Life Inspirational Cards, my own deck of cards. And you can go to my Facebook page, Raul Esteves, author, and find all the details there. Thank you so much. Bye for now.